UFC Mexico is happening tomorrow, and I'm about to give you my predictions and breakdown. Um, this card sucks, right? I just got off of work. Was not a good day at work. And then this is what I gotta see on my screen. This is what I gotta look at. I'm gonna make it quick. I want to be enthusiastic. There are some good fights on here, don't get me wrong. And I want to be enthusiastic. But this card, especially for a a Mexico card, you want it to be a little bit better. Anyway, Damian Pinas versus Wes Schultz. Wes Schultz is actually not bad. He lost to who did he lose to? He lost to a good man. It wasn't no, it couldn't have been. Y'all know the guy I'm talking about. Y'all you feel me? He lost to a good guy on Contender Series. Decent all around fighter. But Damian Pinas, man, this guy just has that X factor. He has that touch of death. So I'm going with Damian Pina by first round KO. And next up, Francis Marshall versus Eric Silva. Francis Marshall is going to get it done by however he wants. Next up, Regina Tarin versus Ernesta Carocante. Now, Regina Tarin, this is her debut. She's stepping up on short notice. She had I believe it was either a kickboxing or a Muay Thai fight scheduled in 2 weeks. So at 1:30, by the way. So she was already preparing for a bigger matchup, whereas Ernesta Carocante wasn't. I also think she has higher finishing potential. She has 6 finishes out of her 7 fights. Incredible, especially for WMMA. That's incredible. So because I'm seeing finishes, I'm going to go with Regina Tarin by, I'll say, submission. I think she's going to be a little bit bigger, have that physicality advantage, and I think she's going to get this one done. Up next, Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Man, I want to go Douglas Silva de Andrade. One time for the old folks, right? Man, I don't think Javier Reyes is that good. I just don't. But Douglas Silva de Andrade is 40 or damn near 40. I'm gonna go with Douglas Silva de Andrade. Assuming he's still on roids, right? Look at him. If that's him at 40, he's gotta win this shit. You know what? I gotta stop thinking logically. Shit hasn't always worked out in the past. So I'm going Douglas Silva de Andrade. Why? I think he's gonna catch him. One of the big right hands gonna catch him. Very fast twitch. Javier Reyes is all right, but I just don't see him being the type of guy that could enter the rankings. And I believe Douglas Silva de Andrade's experience is one of those guys that can kind of gatekeep outside of that top 15 range. So I'm going to take Silva de Andrade by TKO round 2. I felt nasty saying that shit. Up next, Christian Quinones versus Chris Moutinho. Hey, they gotta stop slamming out Chris Moutinho, man. This shit is it's not funny anymore. After the Malcolm Wellmaker shit, it wasn't funny anymore. Christian Quinones by decision. I don't think he's good enough to knock out Chris Moutinho. Although I don't think you have to be very good to knock out Chris Moutinho. But I don't know, man. Chris Moutinho is just not good at all. And Christian Quinones is all right, So Christian Quinones by decision. Up next, Alan Perez versus Macy Chasson. I'm going to go with Alan Perez. I think Macy Chasson is at the point of her career where she's starting to regress, and it's starting to become known that her wins in the past that looked really good are no longer good, right? You think back to the Mayra Bueno Silva fight, and her career has jumped off of a cliff. And Alan Perez, she's throwing it back. Um, she's dropping it down on her opponents. She's doing everything she needs to do to get in that spotlight and get victories. And she's I'm not even gonna say decent. She's a good grappler. I think she's a bit open on the feet, but I think her physicality takes her really far. And I don't think that'll be as much of a factor against Macy Chasson because Macy Chasson is very big for the division. Yeah, I'm gonna take Alan Perez by second round sub. I don't think Macy Chasson's grappling defense is all that, to be honest. And I don't consider Mayra Bueno Silva a huge test when it comes to that. So yeah, Alan Perez, second round sub. All right. The prelim headliner. Oh my gosh. You see, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, what is this, bro? Ryan Gondra decision. I don't know much at all about Ryan Gondra. I'm gonna be completely honest. But I just know how bad Jose Medina is. Is he 0-4 or is he 0-3? Either way, man, this guy has been a punching bag to build up prospects his entire UFC career. This is no different, man. Moving on to the main card. Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. Now, Angel Pacheco is not awful, right? But Santiago Luna is one of those guys from Mexico that could actually do big things. This guy is an incredible striker, super entertaining, has a huge fan base behind him, crazy hype. Santiago Luna is going to get the first round KO. His striking super dynamic. And man, this guy is kind of inspiring to see him and see what he's doing for his family and this young of an age. So, Santiago Luna, you got him, my guy. First round KO. Highlight reel. Highlight. Bonus. Bonus on Santiago Luna. 100K. Next, Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. This is close, man. This is closer than a lot of people will have you believe. I think Emmanuel Rodriguez is okay, right? I'm just talking skill. We're talking skill. He's okay. But his physicality, man, and his natural abilities, his natural gifts, they really carry him. And I think this is no different. I think once he goes up against one of those veterans that are tough, gritty, and got the skill, like let's say, I don't even want to say Charles Johnson anymore. Man, like a Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott, we might face some problems, but against Kevin Borjas, I don't think he has much for Emmanuel Rodriguez. So I'm gonna take Emmanuel Rodriguez by decision. I don't see this being very entertaining. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of clinching, a lot of grappling. Emmanuel Rodriguez has that power though. He could catch him, especially at flyweight. He has crazy power for flyweight, but I don't know. So I'm gonna take Emmanuel Rodriguez by decision. Up next, Edgar Shirez versus Felipe Boons. Edgar Shirez, man. I think this guy's underrated. This guy has slick boxing. He fights like a dead man, if that makes sense. Like he fights like a corpse in the best way possible. Slick submissions. We've seen him put Tatsuro Taira in some trouble. We've seen him put Joshua Van in some trouble on the feet and on the ground. My goat, Joshua Van. So I'm gonna pick Edgar Shirez by TKO. I think he does have some power, and I think he does have that submission ability. And I think he's going to catch Felipe Boons on the feet and finish it off on the ground. So, yeah, Edgar Shirez, first or second round TKO. I'm going to lock in second round TKO. A lot of second rounders. Up next, why is this the feature fight? Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. That is not what Daniel Zellhuber looked like in his last fight. Let's be for real. Against Michael Johnson, Daniel Zellhuber looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy. But I think that was a wake up call for him. He better lock the fuck in this time against Bobby Green because Bobby Green is done. I don't think Bobby Green has it anymore. Like at least at a decent level of competition. So I'm gonna take Daniel Zellhuber, and I'm gonna take him by first round KO. I just, even though he looked so bad in his last fight against Michael Johnson, I just can't forget that Esteban Ribovics fight. And I am very high on Esteban Ribovics. I think he's a very good prospect. And I'm just thinking, like, what if you put Esteban Ribovics in there with Bobby Green? You feel me? And Daniel Zellhuber and Esteban Ribovics went toe-to-toe, coin flip decision. And Bobby Green, man, his chin is gone. His chin is gone. He doesn't have the speed like he used to. He's still pretty slick. I'll give him credit. But I just don't think he has it like he used to. The two main things for Bobby Green, his slick defense and his speed. And now that his speed is kind of deteriorated, his defense has as well. And he's been flatlined too many times. Like, I just can't. Daniel Zellhuber, first round KO. Up next, Marlon Vera versus David Martinez. It's like, I want to pick Marlon Vera, you know. He's on such a bad streak right now, though. And not only that, volume is what kills this guy. And David Martinez can throw with volume. And he also has a brick for a head. Man. And I think guys are becoming less scared of Marlon Vera. So I think, we saw Ayman Zahabi beat Marlon Vera. Like, come on, Cheeto. Come on. I know it could have gone your way, but it wasn't a robbery or anything. I just can't pick him, man. I picked Ayman Zahabi against Cheeto as well, which makes me even more depressed. Because why am I picking Ayman Zahabi to win a fight? You know? I'm going to go with David Martinez by decision. I think he's just going to land more. Cheeto doesn't really throw at all until it's like the last round. And even then, he looks for that one big shot. But what the fuck does that matter if you're losing the rest of the fight and you can't hit that shot? And I think David Martinez is pretty good. Decent power. Slick boxing. Tough chin, too. Tough chin to crack. David Martinez by decision. I think this is the way of UFC building a Mexican star. But yeah, David Martinez, you got this one, guy. Up next, the main event. I think this is unfortunate. I understand. We saw the GOAT Joshua Van come back and go on a crazy streak with a lot of those fights being on short notice after he got knocked out by Charles Johnson, which was a fluke, by the way. That shit was AI as well. But I don't think Loner Kavanagh is that good. Like I like the first two rounds, incredibly dangerous, incredibly fun fighter to watch as well. Which I believe he could give Brandon Moreno some trouble in those first few rounds, but we saw him in the Charles Johnson fight. He faded. And Brandon Moreno's still at the top. He's had a few losses, but Tyra's really good, man, and he's a specialist. And then Brandon Royval, it could have gone either way, but Brandon Moreno just didn't throw enough volume. And you know how Brandon Royval just does this the entire fight, and it counts as strikes. I'm a fan of Brandon Royval, but let's be for real. And I just think back to all the great performances Brandon Moreno's had. He was a step above Steve Erceg. Like, I think Steve Erceg versus Loner Kavanagh. Like, I think I would pick Steve Erceg in that fight. I'll be honest. And we saw Steve Erceg damn near get knocked out by Ode Osborne. So if you can see where my head is at and you can see my thought process, I'm going with Brandon Moreno by decision. Especially because this is a 5-round main event on short notice for Loner Kavanagh. I know it's not too short notice, but it's still not a full camp for him. I'm taking Brandon Moreno by decision. I think it's gonna be too much too soon, and It's unfortunate because he's such a fun prospect. You don't want to see him take 2 back-to-back losses this early in his career. But this is a tough fight for him, man. But yeah, those are my predictions. I'll talk to y'all later.